It's a little after 12 p.m. in the East Coast. And so thank you all for joining us. Caroline Hart will be joining us later in the program to talk about underemployment, unemployment in America, where things are going, and the impact of the COVID-19 economy. But first, I want to start with the COVID-19 pandemic, of course. So right now, the death count is more than 292,000 people. That's a lot of people. But we do have a silver lining here coming up. We have a vaccine in the works. People in the UK already vaccinated. We also, just this morning, there's talks of the FDA that they will be giving the green light here in the States coming up really, really soon. And earlier this week, it was told that within 24 hours of the approval from the Food and Drug Administration, that the vaccines would start to be distributed to healthcare workers, elderly, those living in assisted living facilities fairly soon. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, but we're still very much in this tunnel. Let's take a look at the number. We have a graphic here, I believe, somewhere that has the exact numbers right now. Let's take a look at where that is. I mean, it's an equivalent of a population of a major city. I think, Pablo, do we have that graphic? There we go. Yeah, in Lincoln, it's the equivalent population of Lincoln, Nebraska. So, just think about that. The family, your friends, a whole city just gone. Yeah, it's not a good thing. So with that being said, there are all the health consequences, of course, but there are a lot of economic consequences as well. And, the problem, so if we further we don't move forward with these restrictions, with restrictions, the pushing the recovery for the economy will be more of this K-shaped recovery, hurting people who are already unemployed and underemployed. And so it's gonna, it continually is gonna hurt a lot of people, and it's just pushing this recovery further quarter back. So now I want to bring in Caroline Hart. She's joining me from the San Francisco Bay Area this morning. Caroline, you there with us? You here with us?
Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. It's early there.
Yeah, it's okay. 9 a.m. on the dot.
So, we have some in California, you're moving forward with some more. We've moved forward with some more lockdowns recently. Obviously that's hurting people who are unemployed and underemployed more. Can you speak to what things are looking like there right now?
Sure. So my role is basically covering inequality and unemployment at KTVU, a Bay Area news station. And basically every day I talk to people who are unemployed, who are really struggling. Right now, particularly people who are going to lose their benefits at the end of the month on December 26th. So I actually just published an article yesterday about how those people in particular face kind of a really bleak holiday season, knowing that their benefits will be gone the day after Christmas. And nationally, things like the rent moratorium, federal rent moratorium, will be gone at the end of December as well. So it's affecting people's housing, it's affecting their ability to get food, and it's affecting the economy.
Can you speak to that? What's going on with the some changes in the economy that we haven't seen there since over the summer?
Well, I can pull up a stat here, but we know that 1.3 million people applied for unemployment last week. So that is nearly 300,000 more than the week before. So in the past 2 weeks, we've had 2.3 million new claims. That's a lot of people who are out of work. And this increase isn't just volatility. The Economic Policy Institute says that was the 38th week straight total that unemployment claims were higher than the worst point of the Great Recession. So with those claims that are so high, if Congress doesn't act, that means that people won't get money they need to survive, but also that's money that people aren't putting into the economy. So more and more people will lose jobs when, you know, people don't go to their local restaurants. They can't put money back in the economy. So yeah, as far as changes there, we're talking, you know, not only people not having money to survive, but also that's going to affect jobs down the line.
Absolutely. We just had a good question. Can we pull up that question again? From Greg. Let me find that comment. It was a good question.
Sure.
Just bear with me a second here. There we go. At least I thought I saw one. Oh, maybe not.
Do you remember what it said? Because I can't see the comments exactly, but.
Oh, do you feel that there should be repercussions for a elected leader who, you know, denies the legitimacy of this pandemic? And, you know, from an economic standpoint, it's an interesting question because, you know, the further denial of taking some serious action here, which we are, you know, with the vaccine and all that, we've really kind of made some big strides here, but denying this legitimacy, they're pushing recovery down quarter after quarter. What is in your view, kind of the economic impact of pushing tangible action from a public health perspective back?
Sure. I mean, what I can speak to is really how people are really suffering, because not only are many people without work and they're unemployment, the amount of money that they get on unemployment is generally not a livable amount of money. So we have people who are getting anywhere from 70 to 80, 150, $300 a week. And if you have a family, if you live in California, if you live in the Bay Area, that is just not enough money to live. So we see, you know, record rates of hunger. We see people who can't pay their rent. And we have landlords everywhere who are acting oftentimes in bad faith despite rent moratoriums to move on evictions. So people are really worried about housing. I just talked to a guy last week in LA who has been living in the same apartment for 4 years, or 5 years rather. And he has been running a business out of there with his partner. He has 2 dogs. He hasn't been able to pay his rent. He gets $150 a week in unemployment unemployment benefits. His business basically bottomed out. His landlord moved to say, oh, you're using this for commercial purposes. That's not allowed. He's been using it for commercial purposes for the past 4 years. So that was sort of an example of a bad faith, basically a bad faith move by a landlord to try to move on evictions when that's not technically legal. And that's happening in a lot of cases. So basically, yeah, we're talking about people facing insecure housing, not having enough money to live with the amount of unemployment benefits that they get. And that pushes people into gig work or work that they don't always think is safe. And there just aren't a lot of jobs out there. So I mean, I know people I talk to, they want to work. They're not enjoying themselves on unemployment. They're not enjoying themselves on, you know, living on $150, $300 a week.
I saw a very interesting statistic, a very interesting report the other day from the National Restaurant Association. Said that 17% of all restaurants in the United States have already closed because of the pandemic.
Right.
And another 10,000 restaurants could close by the end of the year. I saw this report on Wednesday, so maybe that's changed since then, but that's a staggering number. And, you know, obviously a lot of those jobs are people in a lower socioeconomic bracket. So it is, you know, it's a very concerning issue. In your view, you know, is there really something state and state, I guess more so in the hands of state and local governments, that they can do especially, heading into the winter months, where eating outside, the lifeline is just remarkably unappealing. I went out to dinner actually on Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
I went out and had dinner outside. It was 30 degrees. It was really unpleasant.
Wow.
But I mean, like, that's they're people that they're thriving, or not they're thriving, but they need to survive on from people who are willing to sit outside when it's 30 degrees out,
Right.
and eat their food, which is a lot of people are not going to want to do that.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
what would you implore state and local governments across the country to do with this?
Sure. Well, people need money, and I think restaurants should also get bailed out. I think that it's really unrealistic to tell places that they have to shut down when their only option is to stay open. And we also know that a lot of people who work in restaurants, in the back of the house, particularly, I've worked in restaurants myself, and I had a show about this the other week, so I'm definitely attuned to restaurant things. A lot of people who work in restaurants are also undocumented, and a lot of people are in low-wage jobs. So people in low-wage jobs and people who are undocumented oftentimes can't even collect unemployment. Undocumented people can never collect unemployment. They're not eligible. So people in those situations, they basically really need to work because they don't have any safety net whatsoever. So of course, I personally think they should have a safety net. But if we're talking about, what materially it can be done here, it's like, they obviously need to keep working. They don't have a safety net. It doesn't look like they're going to have one anytime soon.
Well, so let's talk about the eviction moratorium. Let's turn to the eviction moratorium.
Sure.
It looks like, even if there is an extension here of the federal eviction moratorium, that's not going to last very long. That maybe
Yeah.
until like February, which, what's a month going to do? What can people do who are facing this eviction, who are protected by this almost over eviction moratorium?
Mm-hmm.
What should they do? Any advice?
Well, I'm not an expert on that, but I can go based on what I've learned from talking to tenant landlords.
Of course, in your reporting.
Sure. So I think, first of all, the best thing to do is to talk to your landlord to try to figure out something. I know some people can get reductions in rent. They can figure out a payment plan. That is something if the landlord is cooperative. Otherwise, a lot of cities do provide some legal representation to people. I know in Los Angeles, the man I was mentioning, he got legal representation from the city. They stepped in to help him. He's awaiting his court date. Also, places like legal aid places can provide representation for free. That's pretty much their whole deal. So it's like, for example, if you live in the Bay Area, there's Bay Area Legal Aid. They're a really great resource for people. And even if you're not, getting full legal representation from them, they can help answer questions, and they have a lot of resources. So looking at places like that, it is tough. I mean, there's not really a good answer because a lot of landlords are going to move forward with people's evictions, and it's going to make people lose their housing.
And if you were in that position yourself,
sure. What would I do?
Yeah.
I think I would, I would phone up Bay Area Legal Aid, and I would try to see what advice they have for me. So in the Bay Area as well, we have some city rent moratoriums, some county rent moratoria, and basically I think, so I'm in Berkeley, California. I think we have a rent moratorium until the end of February. But, you know, say at the end of February, I would be calling up the legal aid centers, because sadly there isn't much I can do. And this is a situation so many people are going to be in. Luckily, with rent moratoria, there is a period of time where you can pay back the rent. It is variable, however. I know that the federal moratorium, you know, some judges have decided, I was reading an article in New York Times that said this, like, in one state, you know, someone has to pay back 3 months of rent in 10 days. That's not realistic. That doesn't really help people very much. In the Bay Area, I think some are 9 months, some are a year. So also making sure that you can learn about what your particular rules are, so that you don't get screwed over by someone knowing the rules better than you. Because if your landlord's saying, give me the rent now, but you actually have a year to pay it back, you don't need to give it to them now.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, and you really hit the nail on the head there. The paying your rent back, those calls for people to pay their rent back in very short amount of time kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Absolutely.
If you can't make your, you know, your rent payment, it's not like 3 times that is all of a sudden gonna make sense.
Exactly.
In your situation, and
Absolutely.
that's both for housing and businesses. So
Sure.
I mean, that's in part why 17% of restaurants have gone really out of business at this point. And you know, that's sad. It really is.
It is.
It's very sad.
Definitely. Some of my favorite restaurants in Berkeley have closed. It's just really a bleak situation.
If there's any, you know, patronize your favorite restaurants. Order takeout. You know, it's your civic duty to, you know, order Chinese food and order, you know, the burrito from the you know, your favorite I got a place that I like to get burritos sometimes, ordering from them.
Definitely. And gift cards too. I know a lot of places want you to buy gift cards, because if they have to shut down like their outdoor dining, temporarily indoor dining, all these things, having that cash injection helps places.
Absolutely. Anything else that you are seeing in your reporting that you wanna share with us at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'd like to communicate most is that people are really struggling. People need a stimulus, because the amount of unemployment that they get per week barely allows people to make ends meet. If you're getting $150 a week, you have a family, you're not going to be able to buy food. I also think that for people who are really struggling, check out what your local food assistance programs are as well. CalFresh in California helps so many people from going hungry.
Caroline?
Sorry, I guess I was out there for a second. So yeah, in California, we have CalFresh, which is a food assistance program where that helps so many people from going hungry. And it's easy to sign up for. So I think sign up for food assistance if you need that. Also, I wanted to say about, you know, the idea that a lot of people, when they're underemployed, so maybe they still have a part-time job, maybe they have some amount of unemployment benefits that doesn't quite make ends meet. A lot of people are turning to gig work, and that is a whole thing unto itself. It's not always lucrative for the amount of time that people put in, and it's not like you're an employee, so you don't get benefits or anything like that. And also, one other thing I wanted to say is that when people lose their jobs, they lose their health care. So that is another piece of the equation that is really bleak. So I also would say, you know, check out what healthcare you can sign up for in your state.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on to talk about that in the future. Caroline, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.
That's all for us today. I'm Eddie Hirschfeld in New York.